is brought to you by
APQS, handcrafted quilting machines. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing.
Havels Sewing. When you need to cut it close, choose Havels.
Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Hey everybody, welcome to Quilty. Today we're going to learn about some group sewing projects. I have two special guests here today, and I'm going to have you both introduce yourselves. Ma'am, Miss.
Hi, my name is Emily Brazzini.
Hi, I'm Ebony Love.
And I know, very nice, very professional, Ebony. I know these ladies from being in the sewing community in Chicagoland here. Of course, Ebony, you know, you've been a guest on the show many times. Mm-hmm. Emily, you've done a few episodes with us now too. Yeah. And we have a quilt behind us that is so cool. And when I heard the story about it, I knew we had to talk about like the process by which it came to be. So, Emily, will you start and tell us about this quilt behind us right now?
Okay, so the quilt that you see behind us on all sides was made with a lot of people involved. There were 12 people that helped make the quilt, and it was part of a virtual quilting bee. So
virtual quilting bee. Can you define that for me? What do you mean by that?
Well, a virtual quilting bee is often when 12 women or women and men get together. 12 quilters, you could say. 12 quilters get together and they decide they want to make quilts together. So since we can't all be together in person.
Right. Physically, it may not be possible for you all to be sewing all day together.
Yeah. We go online, we find each other, and how you do this is each person's assigned a month, and then for that month, they send out fabric and instructions. So you send out some fabric to each person. So you're sending it out to 11 people, not yourself. Send it out to 11 people with some instructions of how you want your block to look, and they make it and send it back to you, and then you can make a beautiful quilt.
That's so cool. And you share pictures of what, you know, you're doing online, part of that virtual bee thing, so everybody knows what's going on. Yeah. Now, Ebony, you've done stuff, you know, certainly with groups and with the Modern Quilt Guild, the Chicago Guild, and maybe other guilds too. Tell me about what it's like to work in a group in that way with fabric swaps and things. Like, what kind of considerations do you have to take when you're making a quilt this way?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that you have to consider, I think is important is, do you pre-wash or do you not pre-wash? Because different people do things in different ways, and so you have to make sure that you're consistent so that your quilt, when you put it together, your project comes back consistently. Sure. I think the other thing too is just based on who you're partnered with, some people are more finicky or particular about, you know, seams open, seams, you know, seams closed, so, you know, so, or not seams closed, seams open or to the side. Exactly. You know, so those are types of, some of the things that you have to kind of make arrangements for to have kind of a happy bee.
Right, and so that's, so you would establish those rules, do you guys say, before anything gets sewn? Is that like someone comes up with the guidelines and they post them or share them?
Yeah, usually, the guidelines are just, you know, do your best sewing. Make sure you are doing your personal best. And usually you enter a bee either as, you know, a beginner or intermediate or advanced, and that's kind of how people take you at the bee. So they know about what your skill level is, and it's really good to know that before you go in.
And it would probably be true that a good quilt for a bee would be a simple one. Yes. Nothing too crazy. Is that true? Or Ebony, maybe have you?
I think it depends on the group. I mean, it's you know, it just depends on the group of folks that you've kind of aligned yourself with. But I think the bees and different group projects, you start to become. I mean, the whole thing is about establishing relationships and kind of getting, you know, making new friends and things like that. So you start to kind of learn what likes and dislikes are, and you kind of get a good working relationship with people. So
you have a conversation like we're having now, right?
Yeah, and it's really interesting. Often people will send fabric, but then say, add anything you like to this within the palette. So it's nice to have other people's voices in your quilt. That's what's so important to me, is to make sure that you have the voice of the other quilters in whatever bee quilt you're making.
Right, and that is truly like collaboration. That's what it is. You get something you would never have gotten if you had done it just on your own, because you wouldn't make those same choices.
Yes.
Here's a question I have about this particular quilt. Now, this was made a couple years ago. What was it for? Like, do bees often give quilts for charity? Does somebody get it in a raffle? Like, who gets it at the end?
Well, the blocks are all sent back to the original person that sent out all the fabric and the block instructions.
Right.
So either, you could be making a very intricate piece, very specific type block where everyone's will look almost the same. Or, as in the quilt behind me, everyone was making something totally different. And the only rule was, I want it to be a log cabin, kind of wonky, and it should finish at 12.5 inches.
It sounds like it's like having 11 interns.
Yeah.
They're like making your quilt for you, essentially.
Yeah.
It is. Well, okay, so the last question I have for both of you, and if I can put it to both of you, having done this before, I have not done this kind of project, a group project like this before. If somebody wanted to start a bee, or if you had a tip to give to anybody who started one or who was working in one, what's a little bit of wisdom you might share, not only with getting started, but how to have a successful one? Ebony, you want to take it first?
Oh gosh. I think, well, I guess my one tip would be just be considerate of the other people in the group, because, you all made a commitment to each other to participate. And so you want to make sure that you're able to meet your commitment. And obviously, things always happen, but I think just trying to keep your commitment to the group is really important.
Play by the rules. Commit, if you're going to do it. That's a great tip. How about you, Emily?
I've been in 2 bees at this point, and both of them were organized on Flickr.com, and I used, just went onto this group. It was called Quilting Bee Blocks, and there's this one entry that says upcoming quilting bees or something like that, and how can I get involved? There's thousands of people that have commented on that entry and, decided, I'm a beginner sewer, I would like to be a part of this, and they kind of go from there, and that's how I got into bees virtually.
So cool. That's so cool. We'll put some links up on the screen. Thank you so much, Ebony Love and Emily Bruzzini. Ebony Bruzzini and Emily Love. It could work. It could totally work. These are great. These are great names. Yeah, right. Thanks for coming on Quilty, and join us on Facebook. We have a lot of fun virtually and in reality as well. And try a group project. You might find you love it so much. So give it a shot. Thanks.
Quilty is brought to you by
APQS, handcrafted quilting machines. Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing.
Hovels Sewing. When you need to cut it close, choose Hovels.
Moda, make something quilty with Moda fabrics.